It's about the I got to say, it's the stupidest thing in sports.
Gets the ball, gets back, pulls up for the win. Got it! Detroit basketball. Oh, Holloman looks the clock, has scored for the win. Oh! The Lions go for it. The Vikings bring it. He's a pass. It's a touchdown to give. Javi Baez homered earlier. First one in the air, deep left field again. Yes, Tigers win. Javi is unstoppable.
This is BS Sports.
And away we go. Welcome one, welcome all. I'm sure we've all had our emotional roller coaster that we went through over the weekend. I had what I thought would be a very good weekend. I had a Michigan State victory in double overtime. I guess I didn't have a Tigers victory, but that wasn't that, and that was kind of bad, but I wasn't that upset about that. And I even had, the Bears collapsing in the second half again, like they seem to have done for the past 4 or 5 years. I had all of that. The one thing I didn't have was, of course, our beloved Lions playing a game of football that is even remotely acceptable for the type of team that we are supposed to be and for the talent that is on the team. But we'll get into it because there's a lot to talk about. And obviously, it is week 1, so we do not want to draw immense conclusions because plenty of teams that have lost in week 1 have done plenty of things that people didn't think those teams would do. However, of course, there's a lot that needs to be broken down, so forget all the nonsense. We'll just jump right into it then. So, Lions fall to the Packers by a final score of 27-13, but that final score, of course, does not actually indicate how not close this game really was for Detroit. They score a garbage time touchdown with Isaac Tesla, granted, so his first career NFL touchdown. Amazing catch, by the way. No, can't take that away from the kid. But they lose the game, and they didn't score a touchdown for the first 3 quarters of the game. They didn't even really remotely look anything like they did last year through the first 3 quarters of the game. I'm going to start with a little bit of the quote-unquote silver lining, and then we'll just make everybody feel very sad. That's what I want to do. We'll start with the good, and then we'll end with the sad, and maybe we'll try to redeem ourselves at the end. The silver lining is that this game did have a lot of opportunities that just didn't go the Lions' way. The one thing that immediately comes to mind is that red zone pick. If you don't have that, you end up at least getting a field goal, maybe a touchdown. Then you start with the football in the second half. You're in a totally different ballgame. You also had the repunt, where there was I think it was the offensive offsides or whatever it was that we had to repunt the ball. The first punt had them pinned, I think, at about their own 25, 30. And then the repunt put them at their own 40. So that obviously flips a lot. And then the big one to me was the pick 6 that got taken back by the defensive holding. Those were the 3 things that if you flip it, if it goes Detroit's way, maybe we're not in a sad mood. Maybe. I don't know, but maybe. The bad pretty much takes over from there. So let's just jump into that. The defense, we'll start with them because I'm not as mad at them. The defense did well enough against the run. Josh Jacobs, despite having a rushing touchdown, they really couldn't run the ball on us. It was, they'd pick up 2, 3, 4, at most 5 yards on a run, and then they'd be forced to pass. Problem was, being forced to pass for them was basically like a victory already because Jordan Love played a great game. I mean, let me just pull up his numbers. 16 for 22. Couple of touchdowns, only 188 yards, but accurate and a couple of touchdowns pretty early to just go up and run away with it. Second half was its own thing. He really didn't play that well in the second half, but he didn't need to play that well in the second half because he played pretty darn well in the first half. And a lot of those were on third down conversions. Let me see. What were their numbers? on third down overall, because that's another thing that you just can't have. They were 4 for 10 on third down, but I got to imagine a lot of those third downs that they didn't get were in the second half, not in the first half. So that was not great. And it especially didn't help that you had basically no pass rush, which was particularly depressing given you brought Aiden Hutchinson. He's back from injury, right? Marcus Davenport, you brought him in on a 1-year deal, and he's actually healthy, right? He's not hurt. He's on the field, and you wouldn't have known he was on the field. You drafted Tyleek Williams, nose tackle, first-round pick on a national championship team. Didn't really do much. Jordan Love had pretty much all the time in the world. Second half, it started to get a little bit better. You were getting some pressure, some QB hits, making him a little uncomfortable. And, the stats reflect that. But the secondary really didn't come up with any plays. I don't think I called Kirby Joseph's name at all. I didn't even know Kirby Joseph was playing. And that's probably the worst thing you could say, because this guy is one of the best safeties in the league, and I didn't know he was playing. So I don't know if Calvin Shepard, first real game, but his defense really shouldn't be looking all that different from Aaron Glenn's, because he was the linebacker coach under Aaron Glenn. So there shouldn't be much of a switching it up, right? That just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Derek Barnes, to be fair, he looked pretty good. He had a couple of tackles. Anzalone, I mean, he was basically, I didn't call his name a lot. But again, in the run game, defense was fairly good. In the pass game, they couldn't get out of their own way, basically. Guys were schemed wide open, no pressure on the quarterback. You're not going to win a whole lot of games like that. On the other end of the football, we have the offense. And I don't know where to begin with this, because it's basically just a snowballing effect of bad things. So I'll start with what I think is the origin of all of the bad things, and that's the O-line play. Especially in the interior, namely center and, the interior. You really had nothing. Jared Goff did not have a whole lot of time, or it certainly didn't feel like he had a whole lot of time to get his reads and to be able to, throw the ball forward. Half the time it felt like he was just throwing screens, and a lot of times it was design plays that are supposed to be screens, and we'll get into that because that gets into the guy making the decisions there. But the O-line was just not there, and when the O-line wasn't there, well, then Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery cannot run the football, and now you're in a tough spot, because if you can't run with arguably one of the top running back duos in the NFL, you're not going to get a whole lot of yards. Like, you're just not. The irony, of course, is that if you actually look at time of possession, like, Detroit dominated. They had almost 40 minutes of time of possession, but they weren't scoring. Why? You can't run the football. And when you are trying to pass, you have to do these little intermediary screen passes or dunk and dimes, and you're into these tough third downs. These third downs and third and 7, these second and 10s, third and 9. Those are not high probability downs, and everybody knows what you're doing on third and 9, and it's not running it up the middle, halfback dive to Jahmyr Gibbs. It all just compounds on it. And look, Jared Goff was not perfect, obviously. I mean, he threw the ball almost 40 times at a pick, obviously. He did have 225 yards, but the guy did not have the protection that he needed. He didn't have the run game that he needed to really succeed. And it all just piled on. And that comes down to the offensive play calling. If I had to see another screen pass to Jahmyr Gibbs or another halfback dive on 1st and 10, I was going to lose my mind. What blew me away, though, was in the second half, we come out, we start doing play action, and we're moving down the field. Sam Laporte is making plays. We're actually doing something. And then we said, we don't want to do that anymore. What? Ever heard of keep doing it until they can't stop it? That's my mentality. There was no flavor. There was no swag about it. It was just bland. And usually I'm not one to get ticky-tack about play calls because I don't know what they're seeing. I don't have all the scout. I'm not a football expert. I'm just a fan. But in what world are you running it up the middle from your own one? In what world? Especially when there's nobody there. It's like you had your center cut to the right side. So it's basically just a hole for a linebacker to come in and murder you, essentially. So that blew me away. That was the one where I was like, what are we doing? Like, I'm not saying you got to, take a shot 80 yards for Jameson Williams or Amon-Ra or any of that, but you can't run the ball up the middle, especially when you haven't been able to run the ball all day. So that was its own thing. And look, here's the reality. If the O-line does not improve and improve fast, you're not going to be in a good spot for the playoffs. You might not even be in the playoffs. And that's coming from me. That's coming from, the guy who I thought this team was capable of winning 12 games. If this is the O-line, you might be lucky if you get 10 or 11. Like, you're going to have to really step it up. And Graham Glasgow is not Frank Ragnow. And Tate Ratledge, maybe, you trial by fire, kid. You're going to have to learn. But he's no Kevin Zeitler, right? Or you're going to have to get better fairly quickly. Now, if there is a silver lining that can maybe get us to a feeling good, look, last night, Bears did not look all that different from the team they had last year. Now, the problem is you look very different from the team you had last year. And I'm sure Ben Johnson has had this game circled, highlighted, the whole shebang as much as you have. But next week, it's a must win. I don't have to tell you the stats on teams that start 0-2 and their odds of making the playoffs. It's not good. And if you are remotely one of the top 5 or 6 teams, not just in the NFC, in the NFL, then you've got to win next week. And you've got to show that, okay, at the very least, the defense can keep us in games, the offense can get it going, and that Jared Goff is not basically just having to put the entire thing on his back with no O-line play and no run game. I don't think this is a talent issue. I think right now, what we could be looking at is potentially a personnel issue with the interior offensive line and potentially a personnel issue with the guy running the offense. Lions fans are not going to be patient with John Morton. I'm not going to be patient with John Morton. He was brought in specifically because he allegedly had some knowledge of this offense, right? Dan Campbell trusted him. I'm willing to trust Dan Campbell's judgment. You're going to have to show me pretty early, all right? I don't have time for this. We got to figure out the offense. You had the whole offseason. You had all of training camp. You had all preseason to figure out how you wanted to run this offense, Morton. If you're a professional offensive coordinator that Dan Campbell sees as fitting to fill the hole that Ben Johnson left, then sorry, that's just how it's going to be. So, yeah, next week is a must win. And I'm not going to kid any Lions fans that if they lose next week, you could pretty much kiss your season goodbye. And that might seem extreme, that might seem over the top, but it's just the truth. So, yeah, tough way to start the season, but I do think this team is capable of getting itself out of it, and it starts with winning next week. You're going to have the hometown crowd behind you, so you're going to be out of excuses if you can't get the job done. All right. Let's jump into the chat here. I wanted to get all that rambling in here. Let's see. What are the chances that Dan Campbell starts dressing up like Tom Landry so he can at least pretend to know what he's doing next week against Monster Johnson? I don't know about that. I mean, he might dress up like a different coach, but probably not Tom Landry. Didn't help Morton fail to make adjustments, unlike Shepard, who stopped doing stupid stuff. Very true. That's why the defense looked a lot better in that second half. And another thing I didn't even point out, Alex Anzalone dropped an interception before the pick six. So you might have even said, okay, you don't drop that interception, you got a whole other ball game on your hands. Who's this guy talking to right now? There's 10 people watching and 3 messages in the chat. Well, evidently I'm talking to you, Aaron. I don't know. It's a talk show, sir. I mean, okay. All right, Mr. X. I will say with the play action, I think there was a point where we did 4 of them in a row. You should never do 4 of those in a row. Defense will be fooled after the second time. Fair enough. But I guess my point being, okay, it's working. So keep utilizing that in your offense. Don't just stop using it. And it seemed like they did one drive of that and none others. Like, this team was deadly last year in play action. They got to embrace that sort of thing. Isn't just about next week. At this point, if we lose next week, I have a 99% certainty we get blown out by the Ravens and start 0-3. At that point, the season might be over. I think the season's over if you lose the Bears, but I might just be being too hyperbolic there. Whenever MSU football is good, Lions suck. That's kind of true, actually. When the Spartans were good in 21, the Lions were obviously very terrible. I don't know how that worked. How are you today? Is your team going to make some trades, man? I mean, it's September. I don't know. Maybe. Probably not now, but I guess they could. I did see the Michigan State basketball non-conference schedule dropped. We're playing Kentucky, which is, of course, we always have to play some. Why can't we just play garbage teams in the non-conference? We always got to do these games against some really good schools, some really good team. Although I don't know if Kentucky's not as good as they used to be, but you know what I mean. And we always do that, and then we always lose. And then we get better. And it's like, okay, maybe it was worth it. But, like, if we're going to schedule these games, can we at least win? Like, if we're going to schedule Duke or North Carolina or Kentucky or Gonzaga or whoever, can we at least win? You know, like every once in a while. Please. Oh, yeah. Arkansas, that's another. Yeah, with Calipari. We play all those. Do we play all those teams on the non-conference? I mean, I guess some of those are probably in, like, one of those tournaments or whatever. Also, this might be me being mean to Mr. Izzo, and I love Tom Izzo. But, like, I know we always get in these Champions Classics, but, like, we haven't won in 25, going to be 26 years. In what sense can we say that we're a part of the, quote, Champions Classic? We haven't even been to the Final Four since 2018, which is getting further and further away as time goes. And I've been made more and more aware of the fact that that is the case because they were in the Final Four when I was a freshman in college. And I'm now 26 years old. Now, the point about the play calling, the offense did none of the things he said they would. 2-back sets, I only saw that once. JMO deep shots, not seen once. Yeah, I agree. There was one time where they had Montgomery and Gibbs both on the field. Okay. My thing is, I don't know that that's a great idea. And the only reason I'm saying it's not a great idea, and maybe that's just because I'm an idiot, is I don't remember Ben Johnson ever doing that for the most part. We pretty much would put Montgomery or Gibbs in, and that was it. And to me, it's like you're probably losing some personnel when you put two running backs in, whether that's, you're no longer running, two tight ends, or you're no longer – you lose a wideout, like you're not putting in Khalif, or you're not putting in whomever. Like, I don't know that it's worth it to have two running backs in at the same time. That's my own 2 cents, but maybe it works out. I don't know, but I agree with you. It just felt like there was a disconnect to me from what, and I know you can only take this so far, from the way that the media was talking about them in the joint practices, where they were just destroying teams. Like they played the Texans and the Dolphins in these joint practices, and they were just murdering them on both sides of the football. They were just murdering them. And, like, what happened? Like, did you lose your balls, John Morton? I don't mean to be crude here, but, like, what in the world happened that you just suddenly, like, stopped dominating? And I know the Texans and the Dolphins are two very different teams from the Packers, but still, it just, like, you came out flat. And that, like, you don't have the time to do that, right? Like, last year, your quote unquote coming out flat was starting out 1-1, playing 2 pretty okay games. The Buccaneers game that you did was not great, but you had a lot of opportunities to win that game, and then going on this massive streak of winning. With this, like, if you're gonna have to turn it on pretty quick. And I'm not saying you got to go out and win 11 games in a row. But can you string together 3-4 wins in a row? I mean, obviously you're gonna have to play the Ravens in there, but still, like, can you string together? By the end of the month, let's see. I just want to look at their schedule really quick. If by the end of the month of September, let's see, what's the final game? If by the end of the month of September, you could be I mean, like, geez, actually, I didn't realize how quickly it was going to be. So you got to be at least 2-2, which, look, that sounds terrible, but I mean, God willing, if you could be 3-1 by the end of September, then I'm feeling way better. But that Ravens game is going to be tough because Baltimore looks like number 2 in terms of top teams in the league right now. And unfortunately, you do not. That doesn't mean you aren't. That doesn't mean you can't beat them. It just means that right now, I'm not that confident that you can. And maybe next week you beat the Bears 40-0. And then we're like, okay, we're right here back. And then the Ravens, I don't know, whoever they play, they lose. And then they're 0-2. And now they're back against the wall at home on Monday night. I'm not saying that's likely. I'm just saying, we have to consider. I didn't think the Lions were going to lose that game on Sunday to the Packers. I didn't. I really didn't. I thought that the defense for the Packers was going to be good, but our offense was going to be able to break through at least a couple of times, and I didn't think Jordan Love and their offense was going to be lights out that quickly. But it is what it is. You got caught in a tough spot where your offense was not performing, and your defense started to catch up too late. A couple other things here. Johnson didn't, but it was something I hoped he did. I imagine how scary that is on short yardage situations. You don't know what you. That's a fair point. I mean, you got to be a little creative, but that's a fair point. I mean, on a short yardage, on a 3rd and 1, a 2nd and 1, you bring in both your running backs. Who's it going to go to? Are they even going to run it? Are they going to pass it? That's a fair point. One thing I noticed was, where was Tesla? Don't get me wrong. I really like Raymond. I'm one of the biggest defenders. But we saw him more than Tesla until the 4th quarter when the game was over. That's true. Like, again, I don't want to just, be nitpicky. But it was weird to me that your return men were Sailors and Stewart or Grant Stroud or whatever. Like, I mean, that was your preseason returners. If those are your starting special teamers, either Khalif Raymond is, really downward in terms of his production, or you're trying to protect him, or for whatever reason you're just trying to switch it up. Like, Khalif was one of the best returners in football last year. The game against the Titans where he had 2 return touchdowns. Like, I just don't get it. That just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. When the idea of trading Tim Patrick to get Tesla as wide receiver, I agree. I mean, he did have a touchdown. But, yeah, I agree. I thought we were going to see him involved a little more. And, again, the problem is, I don't know. I don't even remember seeing him on the field. And, he was also dealing with illness going into the game. So maybe they were slow rolling him. Maybe they didn't want to force him to be out there for too long. And maybe next week against the Bears, he'll be much more prepared. And obviously he's already got a touchdown to his name. So maybe they'll have a little bit more of a trust factor with him. But if Jared Goff is going to be throwing the football, I need him to be throwing it in front of him and not to his sides. And that's not because screenplays can never work. And that's not because they don't have their purpose. They do. But it just felt like that was like every drive we're running a screen, every 1st and 10, if we're throwing it, it's going to Gibbs in the backfield, and maybe he gets a yard. Like, I don't know. Like, O-line was trash. I'm surprised how efficient Goff was with the poor O-line. That is the thing. Like, he actually did have a pretty decent, day overall, but you got to think he threw the ball 39 times, guys. Like, the numbers are probably a bit more inflated, but to be fair, to his credit as well, he also was one of the better quarterbacks under pressure last year. And I think that maybe that's something that he has developed here in Detroit. I don't think that was really much of a case when he was in LA. And, again, if he can utilize that, if he can be good under pressure, okay, let's do it. But if you're not running the football, you're not going to win a whole lot of football games. You're just not. Like, even with Green Bay in this game, they only rushed for 66 yards with Josh Jacobs. And if the Lions were even remotely, if the Lions even got a few of those breaks that I talked about, we might be saying a different tune. But still, all of that is just, it's just, everything felt out of sorts. It just felt like the team was not ready for Green Bay. I don't, or the very least, that the energy that they had coming out of last year, and last year, starting on Sunday Night Football, national television, it was a slow start, but they were doing the sorts of things that they were good at, if that makes sense. Like, Aiden Hutchinson had a sack. You know, you had the turnover in the end zone from Kirby Joseph. You had David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs running pretty darn well. You had a deep shot to James. You had all of the things that were good, and now nothing. Like, this game, you really didn't have anything where I'm like, okay, I feel good about this. Gibbs is great, but Monty needs to be the starter. Yeah, I don't know, because like Montgomery is a tough runner, and maybe I would say you probably have a point in as much as, you know, Montgomery can wear down defenses. And I pointed it out in the game, you know, defenses are still having trouble tackling this guy. He was your leading rusher at the end of the day with 25 yards, but like the problem with Montgomery is that's pretty much all he's good for. And no disrespect, but like he's not a threat in the passing game for the most part, as opposed to Gibbs, who you can run on these screen plays and he can turn on the gas and make big plays. But yeah, there's this part of me that says, okay, they know the issues. Campbell knows the issues. Fraley knows the issues. They know what's wrong with the team right now. All we need is better execution, and John Morton needs to clearly figure out what he's doing wrong. Like, what he needs to do, and I know it's easier said than done, but he really shouldn't be tweaking this offense as far as how it's called. Like, Ben Johnson called it the way that it was supposed to be called, right? And with Dan Campbell's, you know, oversight and all that. He needs to be doing more of what they were doing last year and less of whatever it is he wants his style of offense to look. Morton appeared to try a 70-30 split between Gibbs and Monty. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I thought like maybe the thought process behind that is like they're trying to move Gibbs into that running back one spot. But to me, it's like it is the Thunder and Lightning. You start with the Thunder, you start with the Bruiser, you start with Knuckles, and then once the defense is worn down, you bring in Gibbs and you're off to the races. The other thing they used to do, and I couldn't really keep an eye on what the plan was, but it was like they would switch per drive. So it's like you start with a Montgomery drive, then the next drive is a Gibbs drive. Montgomery, Gibbs, and so on. Like, it just I just need you, John Morton. I need you to just be the kind of offense that we were last year. And that doesn't mean you have to just be exactly like Ben Johnson. I'm not expecting you to come up with the stumble bumble or the reverse back behind flea flicker. What I am expecting you to do is take this assortment of weapons and utilize them in a way that is just simple. You know, like, let's get a couple of crossing routes for Amon-Ra. Let's get a couple of deep shots to J-Mo. You know, when you need to have it, you go to St. Brown or Laporta. When you need some have-to-have-it yards, you give the ball to Montgomery, and he's going to get you 3-4 at least. Like, I just, it blows my mind that it seems as though there was this sense throughout the whole game that all Morton wanted to do was do what wasn't working. Like, very true, Art Vandelay, and a very adorable baby. Although he or she does not seem that baby does not seem happy to have his picture taken. But say Vandelay Industries. Yeah, no, I mean, we're gonna need offensive line play is going to have to improve before we can even make any large swaths of judgment on Morton as an offensive coordinator. But he has weapons. Okay, so there's none of this like when he was the OC of the Jets, and it's like, okay, he had a very terrible roster. There's not much you can do with that. In this case, he's got weapons. His offensive line is not bottom of the league. I just refuse to believe that. If you have Penei Sewell on your offensive line, you're gonna be pretty good. I don't know. I like, if this is just who he is, the defense is going to there's no way the offensive line is going to stay this bad this long. If it can't compete against the really good defensive lines, then obviously you're in trouble. But at the very least, it should be able to compete well against, let's just say the Bears, right? The Bears are not some powerhouse on the defensive line. Yeah. Also need nothing short of a 180 in play calling design next week for me to feel good. And I don't know if that's possible. That might just be who Morton is. Yeah, it's tough. Biggest concern was all the pressure coming up the middle. Yep, talked about that. Vandalay. Say Vandalay Industries. I'm assuming you know that reference, Vandalay, given your name. But all right. Let's see. This is another one I missed. I think I missed this one. Morton basically needed to take Ben Johnson off and made a change every now and then. And so defense, okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah, like keep Ben Johnson's general offensive. I was sold on him not really changing a whole lot, and it felt like he changed a whole lot. And maybe it is just the offensive line play, and maybe there wasn't actually a whole lot of change in what they were trying to do. It was the offensive line not executing on what they needed to do. And that can improve with coaching and development. I mean, I don't know that Mahogany is going to be as bad as he was. I think he will be better. He showed that he could be better last year. And Ratledge is a rookie, so he's going to have to be trial by fire a little bit there. And Glasgow, he's, I think he's in the twilight of his career. He's a placeholder, but he certainly can be fine. He can do the job. But he's certainly no Frank Ragnow. That's for sure. There was another one here. The O-line and the pass rush can get fixed in time. How much time is the question, but the play calling. Yeah, okay, so that's basically what we're talking about. What are you talking about? First of all, Mr. Aquaman, may want to add a letter to your acronym or replace the B with a different letter. I don't know what you're talking about. Can you explain? I've never actually said what the BS in BS Sports stands for. So any of these assumptions that people are making, you guys need. How do you know it doesn't stand for babysitter? It could. I'm not saying it does. Is that what that means? No, that's very profane, Aquaman. I figure a member of the Justice League would not use such profanity. Not in my television program, in my big time YouTube program. But I've never actually said what it stands for. It's a mystery. No. I'm pulling your leg, Aquaman. You're good, buddy. You're good. Okay, that's enough depression. Let's talk about the rest of the NFL, shall we? So speaking of the Bears, I wanted to start with that because I didn't put it in the show notes. And wow, Ben Johnson kept the third quarter collapses with him. It seems because okay, here's let me put this into perspective for you guys because I didn't watch this whole game. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm up. I've got the game on the side. I'm preparing for the show. I'm making the graphics. I'm typing up the show notes. Everything's going fine. I'm like, okay, I'll stick around until about 10, and then I gotta go to bed because I gotta work the next morning. I gotta go into work at 8:30. I want to make sure I get enough sleep. Last play I see, JJ McCarthy throws a pick six, and I'm like, oh, okay, so he sucks. And I was like, well, Bears would get the win at home opener. Okay. I mean, they didn't look great offensively, especially not in the second half, but fine. That's all right. We got to beat them anyway, no matter whether they won or lost. I wake up this morning and I'm like, I do my normal morning routine as I do. I check my cellular telephone to see the final score of the game. And I see Vikings 27, Bears 24. And I say, what the hell happened? How did they win? Turns out, when you score 21 points in the fourth quarter and when your opponent scores 21 points in the fourth quarter and you score 7, you usually lose those games. Usually. And my thing is, I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, but guys, does Caleb Williams just kind of suck? Again, I'm not trying to get him ahead of myself. It's one game. He has plenty of room to improve, but I said that, look, Mr. X, you're pointing this out. I said this. I said at the beginning of the year, I think I put it in my prediction, my win total predictions. I don't know that the offense that Ben Johnson is going to want to run is actually well suited for Caleb Williams. From what I was told, from what I heard, he's missing guys that are wide open. He's overthrowing them. He didn't turn the ball over. And when I was watching, especially in that second quarter, I was like yelling at him. I was like, throw the ball. You're going to get sacked. And he avoided the sack, luckily. But this is a guy who, like, I think he still thinks he's in college. He's like running all around like a chicken with his head cut off. And I'm like, I'm not even a Bear. I'm rooting against the Bears. I'm rooting for, this is like the Iran-Iraq war. I'm rooting for them both to lose. And I'm like, oh my gosh, throw the ball. You're going to get sacked or you're going to throw a pick. And he runs around. He picks up like 2 yards. I'm like, what was the point of that? Like, what was you? I don't like the offensive line for the Bears. It's fine. I don't think it was terrible. Obviously he was able to avoid getting sacked, but like that second half was just brutal. Just totally brutal. And it doesn't help that, frankly, their running game is awful. DeAndre Swift is not good. I know it as well as anybody. DeAndre Swift is not good. And he's your lead back. You don't have a backup running back. Even when he was in Detroit and he was okay, you had Jamal Williams. Like, him by himself, and Ben Johnson should know this, him by himself is not going to get you very far. You want to know how I know that? Because the moment that he and Jamal Williams left, the Lions became one of the top offenses in the league. Straight up. And again, for Caleb Williams, you can't say he doesn't have weapons. They drafted a tight end who had a total of 2 catches this game. DJ Moore, he's another one of these guys. They went out and they traded for him from Carolina, which ended up helping them get Caleb Williams. So you can't say he doesn't have weapons. He's got plenty of weapons. He's not executed. And I don't necessarily think it's his fault. I think to some extent, he just doesn't fit in the offense Ben Johnson wants to run. And herein lies the same thing that happened with Justin Fields, is that you have a coach. Well, with Justin Fields, first you can even go further back. You have Mitchell Trubisky, who actually just wasn't that good. Like they were way too high on a guy who was never actually that good. So they get Mitchell Trubisky. That doesn't work out. They get a new head coach with Justin Fields. Or didn't they? I can't remember. Did they keep Nagy and then get Justin Fields? I think they kept Nagy and then got rid of the coach. And yeah, okay, now I'm remembering the timeline. So they kept Nagy. They get Justin Fields. He's their new quarterback. He wants to run it a certain way, but it's not helpful to Justin Fields' strategy. Then you fire him, you bring in a new coach. And that coach doesn't want Justin Fields. So they get rid of him, they get rid of Justin Fields, and they bring in the new quarterback, Caleb Williams. And then Caleb Williams doesn't do well in that coach's system. And now we're at stage, get rid of the quarterback. I would not be shocked if in the next couple of years, Caleb Williams isn't playing for Chicago. Because it's the same thing with Chicago. They draft this QB high in the first round, and it's like there's this disconnect between the coach that they kept at the time, and then they draft the quarterback who doesn't fit what the coach is trying to do. They fire the coach. They bring in a new coach. The coach that they hire doesn't want to have the old quarterback. He wants his own quarterback. So it's just a never-ending cycle, and I feel like we're entering that with Caleb Williams. Like, I hope that's not the case for his own sake. I mean, I certainly hope it for the sake of I don't want to have to deal with a really good quarterback in Chicago that I got to play twice a year. But it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. I don't like. He's just not good, or he just doesn't look good. I'll say that. On the other end, JJ McCarthy. Thank you for showing up for the fourth quarter. That's about all you're good for, it seems. Showing up late. And taking advantage. I mean, you took advantage, so I'm not gonna get mad at him for that. But yeah, it was bad. Like the whole game was just like the whole game at the very least made me feel, at least we could probably beat both of these teams at least once, hopefully. May need to fire the office coach. I don't know. I think Michael Scott's doing a pretty good job, but I'll take your word for it, Dennis. No, I know what you're saying. I know it was JJ's first game, but damn, bro. Like, they still took him in the first round. How about this? Russell? It was his first game, and it wasn't great. Can we agree on that? Next week, he could change he's going to be on Sunday Night Football next week, so he could fix it. I'm just saying, it wasn't great. few other chats I want to get here. Caleb might not be able to run the offense. Yeah, I already said that. Either BJ sucks as a head coach, and/or what's more likely is that he needs a better QB as his starter. Entirely possible. In good news, at least Caleb isn't playing like Hooker did. He at least slides and runs out of bounds. Well, I'm pretty sure you could put like B. Arthur in and it'd be about as good as Hooker was. Swift is overrated. Very true. Caleb did all that running around just to trip over his own feet and tried to throw the ball away as he was falling, resulting in an intentional grounding on the one play. Hilarious, but still, yeah, right. It's like he's not making the kind of plays that are going to help his offense. So, yeah. Vikings are 1-0. What's the Lions' record? I don't know. Could you let me know? Because I'm not totally sure. I look at it as he got it figured out in the 4th round. Meanwhile, the guy Chicago drafted 1 overall in his second year was sailing balls. Oh, in the fourth quarter. I see what you're saying. I was a little confused as what do you mean by the 4th round, but yeah, that's fair. I think that's totally fair. But anyway. All right. That's enough about this game. I want to talk about a few other games here. So we started the season with quite the game, Eagles-Cowboys. Philly's defense looked vulnerable without Jalen Carter. Now you're probably wondering, hey, Mike, why wasn't Jalen Carter playing? Well, sometimes, guys, guys will be guys, and they, you're yelling with your friends, and you're having a time on the old ball field, and then you spit on a guy. You did what? You spit on him. I'm gonna if you want to know why the Lions didn't take Jalen Carter, that's why. And it has nothing to do with his ability. He's a very good player. But that's why. Because if they lose that game, which they very well could have, especially if CeeDee Lamb did not have stone hands, that to me, absurd. You don't imagine, so far in this Lions, Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes era, there really hasn't been a time where I have been especially mad at a player for being selfish. There's been a few times where I was like, okay, it's like CJ Gardner-Johnson, a few times with those kind of plays. If one of my players, before the game even started, spat on a player, I would be furious. I would be if that happened, if that was a Lions-Cowboys game and Jalen Carter was on the Lions and I was watching it, you thought I was mad during the Commanders game? You can go back and watch that if you don't believe how mad I was. I would be apoplectic. I'd be like the mile stare. I'd just be staring into space, just ready to kill somebody. Jalen Carter, I don't know what Nick Sirianni told him after that game, but it better have been at least a stern talking to, right? Lack of impulse control caused Jalen Carter a 17th of his annual pay. That's crazy. I saw, he got fined there. He's lucky he didn't get suspended. This is one of those things. I understand that it's okay, nobody got hurt, but think of it this way. Think of it as if you, a random person, spat on another random person. That's technically battery. That's technically, you could get at least some, you could go to a judge and deal with that. That's technically battery. And they said, you know what? We're not gonna suspend you because you're a first-time offender right now. But you got to remember, Jalen Carter did a lot of suspicious and dumb stuff in college. And to quote a great philosopher of our time, he didn't go there to play school. I don't even know that Georgia has a school. I know they have a football program, and allegedly they have some classes. Oh, that's another. Apparently, Tyreek Hill has also been accused of domestic abuse. It's always the ones you most suspect. Hold on. There was a Carter with the 100% glitchless world record for the fastest ejection in history. Didn't get to the first. It's incredible stuff. Truly incredible stuff. That was crazy. Also, I want to point this out just because this is quite the chat. Am I really at that point in the show where I'm just getting random? In 1786, Islam Salam, Canada attacked the United States, starting the endless war because the U.S. 1776 save, is that a floppy disk, was founded by Abraham Jesus believer. You know what, guys? I got a challenge for you all. Guess the religion. I don't know. Right. Very true. Very true. Thank you, Martin. They did play the Bears. This is the thing. It's a bad sign when week 1 you're getting booed off the field. It's never usually if you're getting booed off the field, it's like week 3 or 4 at the earliest. And look, maybe I'll be eating my words if we lose to them next week, but still. They added Eric to your block list? Oh my. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, this could really be anything because, obviously, there's the Islam aspect, which, okay, that kind of gives away the game. But then there's this America was founded by Abraham. It's I don't, from the Bible, I don't think he came to America. I've read the Bible a few times. I don't remember that part in Genesis. And then at the bottom it says Jesus believer. And so to me, it's I don't know what this is. Some might even say it's a bot, but who said? Who's to say? Maybe it is a real thing. Canada was a colony of the British back in 1786. This is very, very, very true. They still have the Queen on their money, so one might even say they're still a colony. I don't want to be disrespectful to my Canadian friends. Actually, yes, I do. What am I talking about? What week is Tyreek getting traded? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know that he's going to get traded. And furthermore, if he is getting traded, I don't know that it's going to be to a team that is doing well. I think it's going to be to a team that is in desperate need of a wide receiver. Maybe a team and talk about this transition, the Kansas City Chiefs. Wow, I'm like a real radio expert, guys. That's crazy. The Kansas City Chiefs. First of all, shout out Patrick Mahomes. Great day for my fantasy team. 258 yards, a throwing touchdown, 57 yards on the ground, and a touchdown on the ground. Great day for fantasy owners of Patrick Mahomes, but not a great day for the Chiefs in general. Let me just list off a couple of names for you. Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, Travis Kelce, Tyquan Thornton, and Kareem Hunt. You know what those guys have in common? They're your weapons on the Chiefs offense. There's only one teeny tiny little baby problem. They're all not great. The best among them is basically Travis. And it's bad when your leading receiver was Hollywood Brown. And granted, he had a pretty good game. 99 yards on 10 catches is pretty good. But it's not good when your leading receiver is Hollywood Brown. You just do. And as good as the Chiefs defense can be, the Chargers really had their way with them. I mean, Justin Herbert played a fantastic game. 3 touchdowns, 318 yards. Omari and Hampton, not an amazing debut, but they really relied a lot on him. 15 carries for 48 yards. Even Justin Herbert had 32 yards on the ground. That wide receiver room for LA, the Chargers, that is, looking a lot scarier. It's kind of crazy. Quentin Johnston, he was the talk of the town when he got drafted because of how many times he was dropping the football. 5 catches, 79 yards, and a couple of touchdowns looks pretty good to me. And Keenan Allen coming back to LA, getting a touchdown as well. Ladd McConkey, who I really wanted in fantasy, but I didn't get him because I hate everybody in my fantasy except for me. But anyway, Ladd McConkey, another great game. He was another one of those great. I think he was second round fine. I was surprised he ended up in the second round. But this Chargers team could be the team to really take control of that division. We might be seeing the end of an era for the Chiefs. And one might even say that it was one of the faker dominant runs. But that's a story for another day. Really, the idea, though, that Tyreek gets traded back to the Chiefs, that would be really funny. The Thanos memes, You couldn't live with your own failures, so it brought you right back to me. When Kelsey took out X, Mahomes threw X. Kelsey was in the wrong spot. Hold on, what are we talking about? Hold on, maybe I jumped in at the wrong time. See a couple other chats here. Hill gets traded to Mahomes. It won't help unless one, Hill gets passes close to the scrimmage lines and then runs many yards after, or two, unless Mahomes' O-line drastically improved by then. That's he was kind of running for his life a little bit. There was definitely a sense that he was running around, which, hey, it helped out my fantasy points because he was scrambling and he was getting some yards on the ground. I just feel like this is going to be another one of those years where the Chiefs end up, maybe they're going to get 10 wins. Probably going to get 10 wins. Mahomes is pretty much a 10-war player for you. So they're probably going to get 10 wins, and then they'll just turn it on in the playoffs. They'll make it to the AFC Championship game and then maybe lose there. But I don't know. Maybe this really is the end. Like, they've been kind of dominant since what, like 2018? Coming up on what, like this is 7 years? Almost 8 years? Sometimes you just kind of run out of steam. Like you run out of good first round draft picks. To be fair, you didn't have Rice, and you're not going to have him for the first 6 weeks. And Xavier Worthy dislocated his shoulder, so he's pretty much done. I don't know. Seems like the Chiefs must continue to friendly fire sacrifice a player to succeed. That's true. They did have to. Is that Kelsey was the one who hurt him again? Wasn't it Kelsey the last time? Or no, it was Mahomes. Mahomes ran into Rashi. That took him out. It's yeah. Well, look, he's got other things on his mind. He's got wedding planning to do. All right. Stop being so mean to Taylor's boyfriend / fiance / gonna be husband. Stop being so mean. You know what's funny? I don't think she actually went to that game in Brazil. You think the NFL regretted putting the Chiefs on in Brazil because they couldn't even show Taylor? Why didn't they have like a home camera of her watching at home as her fiance caught like 2 balls, and getting punched in the face? I don't know. Has she ever had a concert in Sao Paulo? Probably, right? I'm pretty sure she's at a concert in Pakistan. And something tells me they're not a huge fan of her work. Maybe they are. I don't know. I've never been to Pakistan. All right. We got a lot of stuff to talk about before we finish up the show, and I am just cruising through things. The Ravens. I do have to talk about this game because this is similar to that Monday night game where I'm like, okay, I'm going to bed. It looks like I didn't even really watch any of this. I was already kind of depressed because the Lions lost, but I was just so tired. If you watch that stream, I was so tired on Sunday. Like, I was watching it. Or no, I wasn't watching it. Hold on. I went to bed at about 9. So about an hour into the game, I was not really watching. I was just so tired. I was like, I just got to go to bed. I don't want to watch football. I don't want to look at my screen. I just want to go to sleep. So I went to sleep. And I wake up and I see, Bills won 41-40. Seemed like a close game. Very entertaining game there. That's fine. Apparently, they were up 40-25. Then you might be thinking, 40-25, what, in like the third quarter? No. 40-25, like at the beginning of the fourth quarter. No, they were up 40-25 with less than 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Matter of fact, they were up 40-25 with less than 5 minutes to go. There's not a whole lot to say other than Josh Allen is him. And also, the Ravens went full Ravens. Like, rest in peace to the Lamar Jackson fan club, because he had another one of those games where he put together a pretty great stat line. Like, Derrick Henry played out of his mind, almost rushed for 200 yards. And Lamar totaled 279 yards, both on the ground and in the air, and a couple of touchdowns, or 3 touchdowns total. So you look at the stats, you're like, wow, Lamar Jackson must have been great. And then it's like they forget how to be the Ravens. Like, I feel so bad because I love the Ravens. I've always loved the Ravens. Like as far as AFC team go, I thought the jerseys were cool. I loved that team that won a few with what's his name, Jacoby Jones and Joe Flacco. I love the Ravens. I always kind of like the Ravens. They had the coolest uniforms. I always love their logo. They're cool. And then they do this, and it's like, why do you hurt me? And Lamar Jackson, it's like, I still don't really forgive him for losing that AFC Championship game to Mahomes a couple of years ago because we were ripped of a Lamar Jackson Super Bowl because Lamar wanted to just not play football anymore. It was brutal. It was a sad day for me. But like, if I have any takeaways, forget Lamar Jackson collapsing, forget the Ravens. These are the two best teams in the NFL. Certainly after the first week. Like, I don't care who you are. You drop 40 points on anything. That's impressive. And they drop 40 points on each other. You cannot let the gas off on either of these teams. No doubt. I really think that one of these teams is going to end up at top. One of them. Like, if they don't, then I don't know. Then the AFC will never have fun, and it'll just be Mahomes going to the Super Bowl again on some stupid fluke, and it'll just be painful. I hate it. Legendary choke job. How does it keep happening? Maybe they need to have some tough conversations about John Harbaugh. Ooh, you don't want to say that, Mr. X. Ooh, he's, it's a discussion. I mean, like, you got one Super Bowl, Johnny boy, and that was a long time ago. And since then, you've basically been known for losing in the playoffs and collapsing like this. I mean, don't forget last year, and obviously week to week, any team can win. But last year's Ravens team, they lost to the Raiders. The Raiders. Again, it's one game. I understand you're allowed to lose games to bad teams. I understand. But it's just it's tough. And Derrick Henry played out of his mind. I know he fumbled, and that fumble pretty much cost him the game. But Derrick Henry played out of his mind. 169 yards on the ground. He averaged 9 yards a carry. 9 yards a carry. He basically averaged a first down every time he got the ball. So, needless to say, he doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon. But hopefully the turnovers are not a sign of anything to come. Zay Flowers is also him, by the way. But unfortunately, outside of Zay Flowers, you don't really have a whole lot in the wide receiver room. It's Zay Flowers, the corpse of DeAndre Hopkins, who actually did have a touchdown, but Rashad Bateman, basically a non-factor. Mark Andrews did not exist. Like, they have very good top-of-the-line weapons. Zay Flowers and Derrick Henry, very good. Outside of that, I don't know, man. I mean, I guess Isaiah Likely, he wasn't playing, so maybe he comes back, he's better for you. But, I mean, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. And on the other end of it, I mean, Josh Allen's amazing. Guy almost threw for 400 yards. There's some idiots on the televisions talking about how this guy didn't deserve MVP last year. Bunch of dumbasses, honestly. Like, I don't mean to be rude, but like, this guy's one of the greatest quarterbacks, certainly in Bills history, but in NFL history. He's absolutely fantastic. I don't want to hear any more slander against this man. He is one of one right now. And if he doesn't get the job done for the Bills, then Buffalo, I don't know. Start rooting for another team. Start rooting for the Giants or something. Although that's probably a tough sell as well. What was how often did he fumble, Aquaman? Because I don't really remember. I mean, I remember him just running over people, basically. What if the Colts trade are you all what? Oh, trade Anthony Richardson? Well, I probably wouldn't do much. I have no interest in Anthony Richardson. I didn't understand why the Colts drafted him. I never thought he was good. But apparently they thought he was good. Well, that's tough news for them. But all right. So we'll get to the NFL. We'll get to the picks at the end of the show. But we will move along here then to the college game because look, I want to talk about our beloved Spartans. They did a thing. They won a football game. And not only that, they won it in dramatic fashion. I got a few things to talk about here. First of all, Aiden Childs, have a day. He was Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week this week, by the way, in case you missed it. 234 yards 231 yards in the air, 4 touchdowns throwing. He also had a rushing touchdown and 39 total yards on the ground, behind just Mekhi Frazier, who, by the way, had another great game, rushed for 81 yards on the ground for him. Nick Marsh played fantastically, 5 catches, 68 yards and a couple of touchdowns. One of those, took me out of focus there. One of those was a deep ball there. Omari Kelly, he also had a solid game. Despite the fact that he fumbled that punt at the beginning of the game, he really made up for it at the end with the game-winning catch in double overtime, and then he also had 4 catches for 60 yards. It was just an overall great game, especially for the offense. And even when you look at the box score, even if you want to say, okay, well, you still gave up 40 points to Boston College. True, very true, but you got to think 13 of those were in overtime. So, they're playing from their own 25-yard line. You're basically playing to get a touchdown. 21 of them came in the second quarter. Now, granted, they were driving in the first quarter, and it turned over to the second quarter, and then they finished the job and scored. But all of their touchdowns in regulation came in that second quarter. The second half, the defense completely shut them down. Completely. They could not move the football. And certainly they couldn't run the football. Turbo Richard, which, what a name. 55 total yards on the ground on 13 carries. Not terrible, but not amazing either. I mean, Lonergan for Boston College was just ripping it. The guy threw it 45 times, 390 yards, 4 touchdowns. Look, I'm not saying that he's like some crazy, don't be surprised. I don't know how old this guy is. Let me actually take a look. He is a sophomore. Don't be surprised if this guy transfers out to like an SEC team or a Big Ten team and actually balls out. Okay, it's 2 games in a row. Right now, he's got 658 yards, 8 touchdowns, and a 79.6 QBR in ESPN. He looks pretty good. And I know it's Boston College. I know they're whatever. But Castellanos also was quarterback for Boston College last year, and he balled out against us too. So I don't know, man. Maybe this guy is just good. We'll see as the season goes on. We'll get a better idea of the Spartan defense, especially in the secondary. But even a guy like Jordan Hall, my goodness, 9 solo tackles, 15 total, really good stuff from the linebacker. He's played solid, very well. And look, this was a win to me. I have this question: has 8-4 now entered the chat? Let me we'll play a little bit of the look-ahead game. All right? Look ahead of our schedule. Okay, next week you got Youngstown State. I don't have to tell you you're going to win that game. If you don't win that game, then I cannot explain the season. You're winning that game. Then you go on the road to USC. That could be tough, but USC also kind of an unknown team. Good, but not totally sure. Then you got at Nebraska. That's another one. I don't what kind of a team are they? We'll see. I mean, they're going to be playing Michigan a couple of weeks from now. And that could really set a bit of a barometer for you. You got UCLA at home. That's a team you should be beating. Especially if you're playing the way you played against Boston College. Overall, forget the 21 points in the second quarter. Overall, yeah, you should be beating UCLA at home at noon. None of this under the lights nonsense. And finally, we get to play a game at noon. At Indiana, that could be a tough game. Michigan, that's another one that's beatable. They just had a tough loss to Oklahoma. That's pretty much the only headline I had for this week in college football because week 2 was terrible. At Minnesota, you should be winning that game. Penn State, you're going to probably lose that game. Although it would be actually really, really funny if you did win that game. Because, Because like that would be exactly the kind of game that James Franklin would like lose his season over. That would just be hysterical. It is at home, so you'll have that advantage. And depending on how good you are, like let's say over the next few weeks, Youngstown State win 3-0, USC win 4-0, Nebraska. Let's just say, or we'll say loss at USC on the road, so that 3-1 win on the road against Nebraska. That's 4-1. Win at home, UCLA. That's 5-1. At Indiana, we'll say loss. That's 5-2. Win at Michigan. That's 6-2. Win at Minnesota. That's 7-2. You could be like, there's a real chance you could be 7-2 going into that Penn State game, and they're going to be coming on the road. Spartan Stadium is going to be a freaking zoo because you're going to be one win away from having at least an 8-4 season. Like, I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying, don't strange things can happen, and the pathway is there. And I've seen the light. All right, I've seen the light with Aiden Childs. He's got the skill to put a team on his back. He did it. You can't say that he didn't do it. He just did. Don't forget USF beating Florida. They were ranked. They have 2 ranked wins and could go and beat number 5 this week. They win that game. Could they be the number 1 team? They would have the best resume. That's, kind of wild. It's kind of wild that they're at that stage. But yeah, here's my thing. If USF can beat Florida, and if God willing, if they can beat Miami this weekend, then honestly, everything's on the table. I don't see why Michigan State should be totally looked down upon. And again, this could all fall apart. They could get destroyed by USC and Nebraska, and they could be, what would that be? 3-2 or 4. That was, yeah, it'd be 3-2, and then 4-2 against UCLA, and it could be a whole thing, right? This could quickly fall apart. I understand, but through 2 weeks, Aiden Childs is not showing the deficiencies that he showed at all last year. He's not getting turnovers. He's not fumbling the ball. Oh, he did fumble against Western Michigan, but he's not throwing interceptions. He's leading scoring drives. I really do think this could be a year for Michigan State and Jonathan Smith to take that step, and they need to take that step. So please do. I'm begging. I need to have some good college football. I haven't had good college football in a very long time, and I just can't take it. I need it. I need it in my life, and I can't stand to see my beloved Spartans continue to just falter and fail in every feasible thing in their miserable existence. So anyway, beat Youngstown State this weekend. Beat them by 100. I don't care. Just make it stress free. They deserve it. So fun stuff. That is college football. We're talking college football, Aquaman. Michigan State. Okay, you left me the. This is Derrick Henry's fumbling. 2023, he fumbled it 3 times. 2024, he fumbled it 3 times. Excuse me. 23, none. 22, 6. Wow. 21, 2. 23. 2019, 5. His previous 3 seasons, he rarely fumbled. Yeah, I mean, you get the ball a lot. I'd be curious what some of the other numbers are for certain other running backs in the league. I don't know if it's I don't know where he ranks, I guess. I don't know what Kelly was doing at the start of the game. He fumbles a punt, then he tries to hurdle a guy and fumbles again. Yeah, right. That was I think Coach Smith or whoever said to him, hey, calm down. Stop. And then he figured it out, and he played a much better rest of the game there. Michigan is definitely beatable. The only guaranteed loss at this point is Penn State. And, if that's where we're at, man, we could really be off and running here. Because, look, is Michigan State a complete team? No, they're not. Their defense is still has some deficiencies. Their offense has deficiencies. But they're moving in the right direction. It seems that way. And this win against Boston College, I know some people are going to say, "Oh, they're Boston College, they're not even ranked." Guys, it's an ACC opponent. It's a national television game. And it's a game that you would have lost every year the last 3 or 4 years. And you didn't. That's important. I guess not 4 years, because that was Kenneth Walker year. So the last 3 years, 3 or so years. I didn't realize this until this morning regarding the Lions. Campbell has each season used the first 2 regular season games as extra, quote, preseason games. I mean, I don't know. Like, he's, for at least since 2022, he's started 1-1 every year, which is kind of an interesting number, or kind of an interesting stat. Like, let's see if I can remember. 22, they lost to the Eagles, and then they beat Washington. And 23, they beat KC and lost to the Seahawks, I think. And last year they beat the Rams and lost to the Buccaneers. So, hey, look, maybe it's just the way we start. We start either 0-1 or 1-1, or 0-1 or 1-0. I guess every team is like that, but Michigan State competitors to the Michigan Wolverines. I only paid attention to Canadian words. Yes. Yeah, well, I didn't know Canada had universities. I didn't know they actually had those. Oh, Parker Meadows just tied it up for the Tigers. 2-run home run for Parker. There you go. Tigers right back in it. This is true. It is. Yeah, there is something to say about how you win and not just the end result. Very true. What's my brother texting me? Okay. Anyway. The rest of the college football breakdown here. I want to be really quick here. Yep, for sure, Aquaman. Appreciate it. Hit the like if you haven't already as well. And if you're just watching and you're just lurking right now, hit the like and subscribe. It's a fun time. We get to talk about football. Most of the rest of the year, I'm just talking about, well, I guess I like talking about other sports too. But football is the most fun. It really is. Okay, let's talk about the rest of week 2. Oh wait, hold on. I clicked on the wrong tab. Okay. Talk about the rest of week 2. There isn't a whole lot to talk about. Michigan fell to Oklahoma on the road. I don't think anybody really expected them to win this game. The score indicates that it was a little bit closer than it really was. Oklahoma pretty much had control of this game the whole time. The concern, of course, is Bryce Underwood. 9 for 24, which is very not good. 142 yards. Not great, but if we're just being honest with ourselves, this is probably the first time Bryce Underwood has ever had to play a really tough opponent in a really tough environment on a national stage ever. I mean, Belleville is not exactly, Texas high school football, right? But, Justice Hayes played a good game. 125 yards on the ground. He's really good. So you can have some solace there. I guess if you're Sharon Moore, you get a 2-week break. That's got to count for something, right? I mean, at least you got to coach against your old team. It's funny. Like, you could have just taken those first 2 games, just suspended yourself those first 2 games. And then even if you lose, we didn't have our head coach. But now it's like you just look like a fool. It's like, no, I want to coach against my old team. And then you lose. You could have just, whatever. Nothing. Not a big deal. It didn't matter. They're 1-1. Anyway, what else do I want to talk about? The rest of the week was just a bunch of blowouts. Oregon won a game by a score of 69-3. You want to? You guys want to see something funny? Hold on. I'm gonna share my screen really quick. This is actually really funny. Look at that win probability. Look at this. I don't think it ever. It's like a horizontal line. Look at this. Anyway, I just oh, oops. I just thought that was hysterical. Like, at what point did, like, the highest they ever had was a 6.1% chance to win. That's crazy. They almost had more rushing yards than passing yards. I didn't think that was possible. Dante Moore's pretty good, I guess. Yeah, Oregon's good. Things. Also, Ohio State. This could also be a very interesting win probability. Ohio State won a game 70-0. Okay, that actually is a horizontal line. Hold on. You have to see this now. Hold on. Okay, what if I... Okay, this is a different tab. Let me share this tab. That is just a horizontal line. There is no... Somebody find the gap. Like, find the point on this where it is, like, arched in any way. That's brutal. Yeah, Julian Sayin is also pretty good. 106 yards on 18 for 19. He threw an interception that game. Oh yeah, UCF. Nico was never that good to begin with, which is why the whole like ransom thing was like, dude, you're like not that good. I don't know why you're like forcing your way out like this. This is the problem with the NIL stuff, man, is all these kids think they're like, Joe Montana. And they're not. They can't all be. This is not an insult to any of these kids that they work really hard. They're really incredible athletes in many ways. But you can't all be Joe Montana. There's only one Joe Montana. Like, it's just how this works. Like, if you are expecting to get paid as if you are Joe Montana, ironically, you won't actually need it because you're Joe Montana. You're going to get drafted number 1 overall or whatever he was drafted. Like, you're going to get drafted in the NFL, and you're going to be fit for life. The only guys who really need the money are the guys who aren't that good. And the problem is, if they're not that good, then they don't deserve the money, and they won't get the money. Remember when they were just getting an education? Remember that? Remember they were getting free food, free housing? Remember that? Remember when it was just about being able to sign sneakers or jerseys and sell it for money? Remember when it was just about being in a car commercial? Remember that? Remember when it was just getting paid for being in NCAA football? Remember that? Yeah, I remember. I'm old enough to remember such a thing. Anyways. Yeah, I guess other than that, I guess we can look ahead to week 3. Because actually week 3, I think, is a much better slate, all things considered. So you have some games on Thursday and Friday night. Don't care. I guess I care a little bit about watching Colorado lose to Houston because that will happen. Just let it be known. They're going to lose that game because of course they will. Anyway, somebody needs to contact Fox about their big noon games. In what universe are you getting Oregon and Northwestern? At Northwestern. In what universe is that your big noon game? In what universe? Oregon is going to win that game by 1 million. I know that it's their first Big Ten game, but Northwestern is practically a MAC school at this point. It's sad. All right. It is sad. Because Northwestern was never, they were never like amazing, but they weren't like this bad. It's bad. It's really bad. But anyway, we do got a few other kind of interesting games here. Let me scroll down here. We got Tennessee, Georgia at 3:30 on ABC. That's probably going to be the game of the week, I think. Georgia did not play amazingly, but this will be their first real test here. You also got South Florida, Miami, 4:30 on the CW. This could be the game of the week, potentially, and it's being played on the same network that brought you Arrow. How does the ACC exist? Like, how is that a real league? That doesn't make any sense. Why are they playing games on the CW? Texas A&M at Notre Dame on NBC. That could be a really good game as well. I thought Notre Dame played well against Miami in week 1. I'm assuming they won week 2. I didn't watch. I didn't even know they were playing, to be honest with you. I'm assuming they're playing, but I don't know. I don't know who they played. So yeah, it's a much better slate. It's not an amazing slate. That week 1 slate really spoiled us, I think, because it was really good. But yeah, so it's fun. It's fun week. We got a couple of good games here. I'm gonna probably lean on that Georgia Tennessee game probably being your game of the week. Probably. Unfortunately, it's right at the Michigan State game, so I'm not gonna really be watching it. I'll watch the highlights. I'll catch some of the highlights. Other than that. Oh yeah, I almost forgot Clemson. Yeah, they did almost lose to Troy. That's wow. Like, I can't believe they almost lost to a city that, had a big horse. That's kind of crazy. Oh. Okay, hold on. I got the Tiger game on. I just watched Anthony Volpe pop out bunt. He bunted it towards the third base line. It stayed in the air, and Colt Keith just ran and caught it. I guess technically it was a foul out because it was going to end up foul. But, okay. CW has been heavily investing in sports. 2 years ago, they bought the broadcasting rights to the NASCAR Xfinity, now O'Reilly Auto Parts. That's crazy. What? The CW. Do they have reruns of 2.5 Men after the game? I've never seen that show. Is that show even funny? Charlie Sheen is, a well-accomplished man, but then he did that interview where he talked about doing drugs and having sex with porn star. One of those legendary TV interviews ever. Not because anything that he said was admirable or virtuous in any meaningful way, but because he was so unapologetic about it. Gosh, I love that interview. That's I think that was the last of the celebrity breakdown interview. This used to be a fairly common thing. I guess you had the R. Kelly, I'm fighting for my life interview. That was somewhat recently, but you used to just have celebrities just say crazy things on TV interviews and then it trends. Oh man. Now they're all polished. Now everybody's so media trained. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Ridiculous. All right. I do kind of want to see if Casey Mize can get out of this inning here. He's got 2 outs, a man on first and second. It's the top of the lineup for the Yanks. 2-2 tie game. Ball 1 low and away. Trent Grisham leading off. Oh my. Yankees power. MLB ranks this season. First in runs per game, first in OPS, first in home runs, first in home run differential, first in extra base hit rating. That's pretty good. Are Lions in trouble? We talked about it more at the top of the show. Yeah, they are. But I guess you could rewind the show there. We talked more about that at the beginning of the show. Probably the first 40 so minutes there, Cedric. But we're right about to get into the picks. I just want to see if Casey Mize can get out of this inning. Please. Just get out of this inning, and then I can do the picks, and then we can move on with our lives, and I can watch the rest of this Tiger game. He's not got a 3-0 count on Grisham. Okay, this is seeing great. Seeing great, guys. We can do this. We can do this. No problem, Cedric. And be sure to hit the like and subscribe. Well, okay, 3-0 count. Come on, Casey. You got to throw a strike here. Unfortunately, Trent Grisham knows you got to throw a strike. Oh, did he pop him up? Yes, he did. Get to it. Get to it, Meds. Yes, sir. It is 2-2, end of the 5th inning, and Casey Mize just got out of a huge jam. Good for him. He threw him a strike. He knew he had to throw him a strike. Fastball, outer edge. Oh, yeah. There you go. Okay. All right. So, it is finally that time of the show. Everybody's been talking about it since last week. People have been talking to me about it. They're like, Mike, when's the next pick? It's it's a weekly thing, guys. So anyway, let's just jump into it. It is finally time for the picks. Music, please. We'll do that. 22. Maybe 23. Oh, I want to go 23. Oh, 23. Okay. All right. So, last week I went 9-7. Seth went 12-4. So we already know who's the brains of the operation, and that's the guy who works at Home Depot every single night. So, Thursday night football, the Commanders head to Lambeau to take on the Pack. Seth is taking the Packers. I am going to take the Commies in this one. And it's not because I'm salty that the Packers beat the Lions this past Sunday. It's not that at all. I'm totally not salty about that. I'm a little salty about that. But that's not why I'm taking them. I actually am taking them because I think the Commanders, compared to how the Packers played that second half, I think the Commanders' offense is going to be way more, on fire compared to the Lions' offense. So I'm gonna take the Commanders to get the win here. It's still pretty warm out in Lambeau, still pretty warm out in Green Bay. So give me the Commies. Next, we got the Browns at the Ravens. Yeah, we are both taking the Ravens in this one. I don't think I need to. Derrick Henry exists. That's my reasoning. Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson exist. Ravens are gonna roll. Jaguars at the Bungles. Seth is taking the Bungles. Ooh, I don't know, Jim. Jim, I don't know. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna be a little feisty. I'm gonna take the Jags. I don't know, Jim. Maybe Trevor Lawrence starting to figure things out. Got the win over the Panthers last week, and the Browns gave the Bengals a run for their money. Give me the Jags. Travis Hunter doing things with his feet and hands and other things that he has. I don't know what that sentence was. Giants at the Cowboys. Seth is taking the Cowboys. Yeah, we're taking the boys. They actually looked a lot better against the Eagles last week compared to what I thought they were going to be. Not that I think the Cowboys are all that good. I just think the Giants are just that bad. I don't know when Dable will be fired, but it will be this year. I'll tell you that much. So give me the Cowboys. Bears at the Lions. We're both taking the Lions. Look, for my own mental stability, for my own emotional stake, Lions have to win. I think they are going to bounce back truly. Caleb Williams does not give me a whole lot of confidence at quarterback. The Bears and that second half overall for them was just not good. I do think you're going to come back home, friendly environment. I think that the first week jitters are going to be through. Hopefully Ratledge and Glasgow and the interior line and John Morton figure something out. Maybe it was just, first week you get a little ahead of yourself and you're looking too far ahead for the playoffs. Bounce back week for the Lions. Give me Detroit. Patriots at the Finns. Seth is taking the Patriots, and I am going to go with the Patriots as well. Tua Tagovailoa is back, and not in a good way. That was really bad against the Colts. I don't think anybody expected it to be that bad. Give me the Patriots. I don't really trust them that much, but I trust them a little bit more. 49ers at the Saints. Yeah, I'm taking the 49ers. If any team is playing the Saints, I'm taking the other team. I genuinely think the Saints might not win a game. And they almost won. They had their chance. They almost won against the Cardinals. I don't know if they're going to win another game. I really don't. Not much more to say. Bills at the Jets. Taking the Bills. Sorry, Justin Fields. As good as the Jets played against the Steelers last week, the Bills are just too good. Josh Allen's going to run all over them. It's not going to be close. But Aaron Glenn is going to have the boys ready in New Jersey. So, give me the Bills, though. Seahawks, Steelers. I'll go with the Steelers. Okay, Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, okay. He had a fine game against the Jets. All right, yeah, whatever. I'm sure he's going to fall back to reality pretty quickly here, but not anytime soon. He's going to give the Steelers fans some hope. I'll take the Pittsburgh Steelers at home. Rams at the Titans. We're both going with the Rams on this one. Yeah, it's rough. It's rough in Titanland. The Rams, as not great as they were last week, they were good enough to beat a Texans team whose offensive line is just dead. And poor C.J. Stroud. I don't know how long he's going to survive. The Titans are not good. The Rams can get an easy win to keep their winning ways up, at least for now. Not too impressed with them. Not too impressed with Stafford overall. But winning is winning. So, give me the Rams. Panthers at the Cardinals. It's going to be the Birds. I will stand by. I think this Cardinal team, somebody's going to win that division. And I think the Cardinals could be the odd team out, so to speak. Give me the Cardinals. Panthers are terrible. Bryce Young is back to being the Bryce Young that we all have grown and loved. Broncos at the Colts. Yeah, this is actually kind of tough. Do I get just hypnotized by the Danny Dimes that murdered that poor Dolphins defense? Or do I use reason and say, come on, it's Daniel Jones. He's not gonna do anything against this Bronco defense. Yeah, I'm being reasonable. He's not gonna do anything against this Bronco defense. It's the Peyton Manning Bowl, so maybe anything can happen. But no, I mean the Broncos. Bo Nix was not good, but he's probably more trustworthy than Daniel Jones. Probably. Bronco fans really hope he is, but who knows? Eagles at the Chiefs. This could be game of the week. A little Super Bowl rematch. Seth is taking the Eagles. I'm going to agree, only because Jalen Carter is going to be playing again, and that defense has to be better. And that Chief offense is terrible. It is Patrick Mahomes and friends, literally. Yeah, give me the Eagles. I think they're going to win. It might be a closer game than you expect because Mahomes' magic is for real. If the Eagles don't get this win, then there should be concerns about their odds of repeating. Because this Chiefs team is not good. They are not good. Problem is, though, if the Chiefs lose this game, they fall to 0-2, they're at risk of not making the playoffs. Ooh, I don't know, man. I don't know. Falcons at the Vikings. Seth is taking the Vikings. I'm going to take the Birdies. They played pretty darn well against the Buccaneers. They fell there near the end. They kind of had like a reverse Minnesota. Minnesota in that first half and even through part of the third quarter, they played terrible. And J.J. McCarthy looked terrible. I think the Falcons are probably, at least potentially, a more well-rounded team than the Bears. I don't know. It's funny. It's a rematch of the two national champion quarterbacks, Michael Penix and J.J. McCarthy. Who would have thought, at the time that this was ever going to be a possibility? But the NFL loves it. And I'm sure on Sunday Night Football, they're going to be showing all the screenshots of, J.J. in the Michigan uniform and Michael in the Washington uniform. But give me the Birdies. Seth is taking the Vikings, and I want to just be a contrarian. And then we got a Monday night doubleheader. Buccaneers at the Texans. Seth is taking the Bucks. Yeah, I'm taking the Bucks. Yeah. I'm sorry, Texans. That offense is that's not good. It's really not good. It's scary. Not good. The Buccaneers, they look solid. Baker Mayfield is still that clutch guy, that guy who's just so feisty. He's hard to beat. I think he can get the win here on the road. It's going to be the home opener for Houston, so they're going to be rocking, but I got a feeling the Buccaneers can come away with this one. And then finally, the Chargers taking on the Raiders, division rivals. Yeah, give me the Chargers. Yeah, Geno Smith is still not great. He did get them the win against the Patriots last week, the Raiders, but I don't care. That's my answer to that. So yeah, give me the Chargers. Go. Hold on, where's the drop? I have it. There it is.
Go Chargers, go!
Thank you, Arnold, for that input to the show. All right, rounding it up here. Commanders, Packers. I am taking the Commanders. Seth is taking the Packers. Browns, Ravens. We are both taking the Birdies. Jaguars and Bengals. I am taking the Jags. Seth is taking the Bengals. Giants, Cowboys. We are both taking dem boys. Bears, Lions. God willing, we are both taking the Lions. Patriots, Dolphins. We are both taking the Patriots. 49ers, Saints. We're both taking the 49ers. Bills, Jets. We are both taking the Bills. Seahawks, Steelers. We are both taking the Steelers. Rams, Titans. We are both taking the Rams. Panthers, Cardinals. We are both taking the Birdies. Broncos, Colts. We are both taking the Broncos. Eagles, Chiefs. We are both taking the Birds. Falcons, Vikings. I am taking the Falcons. Seth is taking the Vikings. Buccaneers, Texans. We are both taking the Buccaneers. And Chargers against the Raiders. We're both taking the Chargers. Go, Chargers, go.
Go Chargers, go.
Go, Chargers, go. And those are your Week 2 picks in the NFL. All right. We got a lot of chat messages, so let me. Commanders by 4.5. Is that really the spread? That's crazy. It's better winning. It better look good. Yeah, that's for sure. Patriots, Steelers, Panthers bounce back. Okay, might be coping. That's at least you admit it. Broncos defense, Eagles easily. Should Lion fans be panicking? No, you shouldn't be panicking after week 1, but you should be concerned. I'll say that. Ibuka looks good. That's true. Ime Ibuka. You asked that question already, but I just answered it. So we're okay. You asked it 3 times. It's all right. It's all right. She loves. I wasn't looking at the chat, so it's fine. I'm not mad at you. But all right, that's the show. Jeez, Louise, almost 2-hour long show. Oh, I'm a Lions fan. I mean, what if I'm a Lions fan? What am I supposed to be panicking? No, I'm not happy, but I'm not like, oh my gosh, everything is terrible and everybody needs to be fired. Next week if we lose, then we'll be in panic mode. How about that? Okay, that's all I'm saying. Okay, but yeah, so Casey Mize back out there for the 6th inning. Okay, all right. Well, anyway, Welch get 10 sacks this year. He better. Are you kidding me? What do you think our record will be? I mean, I'm gonna stick to 12-5 for now, but I'm a little less chesty about it. So I'm thinking maybe we look at 10-7, 11-6. But I mean, if God willing, they aren't really as bad as they showed on Sunday, they should be 12-5, and they should be able to at least be second place in the division, if not win it outright. What do you think you need to step up? Definitely the interior offensive line. And you got to get better play up the middle. If you want your run game to work, you got to be able to block. It's just reality. And if you don't get your run game to work, then you're not going to get a whole lot of the rest of your game to work. So, yeah, Dan Skipper's got some experience, but he's also kind of old, and he wasn't that great when he was here. But yeah, I like Dan Skipper. We got depth. So look, there's a lot of stuff that needs to improve, obviously. Yeah, we did bring in somebody from Cincinnati, I believe it was we signed. But look, it's depth, and we'll see. All right, so a little bit of a look ahead for the broadcast schedule. I repeat, I will not be live this Saturday for the Michigan State game. I will be out tailgating with my family and friends. So I will not be live reacting to that game. I will, however, be live reacting to the Lions-Bears game on Sunday, so please keep your eyes out for that. And we're going to hopefully enjoy a Lions victory. Please, Lord. Please. I need it. And yes, I am an MSU fan. So yes, thank you. Thank you for asking. Oh, sweet. Love it, man. Hit the like. Yeah, for anybody hanging out, appreciate you for listening in. Please hit the like. Please hit the subscribe. Go white. I was responding to that. That wasn't yeah. Please hit the like. Please hit the subscribe button. Please leave a comment. I'd love to discuss any of the stuff we talked about. Hopefully the Tigers can pull this one out. They're 2-2 tie, bottom of the 6th. Casey Mize pitching pretty darn well so far. We will be back on Sunday for a live react to the Lions game, rooting for a Lions victory to please, Lord, have mercy. If they lose that game, I don't know what I'm going to do emotionally. I'll be in a very dangerous spot. I'll just say that. But anyway, then we'll be back the following Tuesday, and we'll be able to discuss all the sporting news of the week. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of it. So appreciate everybody for stopping by, listening in. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and have a great rest of your night. See ya. See you later, everybody. See ya. Go Tigers.